Seth Green's dad drops him off. I thought that kid was going to get mugged.
Yeah.
And then all the kids meet there and they get picked up there. Interesting place to choose to drop off kids and leave them alone. But so the punk who's always working out and his girlfriend show up in a BMW.
Yep.
Did they just leave it there?
I think so. And did they get it from the IRS? And
there's so many weird things in this movie.
He obviously didn't steal it. Maybe Dee Dee is rich and she's just acting out. Because remember when Rome asked her dad for one and the dad said he would buy him one if he just drove it straight to Mexico and never came back?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's terrible.
And then there's a really weird scene where the kid looks at Seth Green and the kid, Rome, goes, "Do I look Mexican to you?" And Seth Green just goes, "Yeah." I'm like, wait, what? And we're not even talking about Panic, played by Alfonso, busting out a switchblade.
There's a lot of charm in this. There was also, we were talking about weird, like, comical moments when Seth Green is looking at Panic and he says, "Hey, you haven't killed anybody." He says, "Well, let's put it this way. I've offed about as many people as girls you've been with." He's like, "That many?"
Yeah. Yeah, there's some little moments. And did you notice there was a sign that spelled marijuana wrong?
No.
Yeah, there's a sign that, instead of the J, it's an H.
No.
Marijuana.
So wait, we're later in the movie, we learn that, so on the way to the camp, they stop at a gas station, which would normally be our Harbinger scene.
Mm-hmm.
And they bump into the creepiest, 40-something-year-old dude who is licking the window at these teenage girls, right? Like just being nasty. And his weird, quasi-sophisticated rich boss.
So I'm thinking he's the owner of all the weed and all the mills. And then that guy's his henchman.
Right. And they're warning, why would you say anything? But these kids are good at the group is going camping. He's like, "You better watch out for the local cash crop farmers, this, that, and the other." And, they're warning them about the people running drugs and stuff. And then a little later, we learn that Clint Howard apparently worked for them. Not that they really identify that, because they talk about the herbal steroid that we learn about in a veterinary office, which someone identifies by scent.
And they squish a bug in there, which you love.
Right. That they're using to grow the pot. And apparently that herbal steroid was what I thought was the motor oil in Clint Howard's machine. So Clint Howard was grinding down marijuana. I don't know what.
Yeah, I think so. I think they were just hydroponics at the time. I think he was working with it because they were using the mills that shut down to do that. The weed dealing in this was kind of like the weed dealing in the Friday the 13th remake, where it was an open secret. The vet knew about it. The cop knew about it. Everyone knew about it. They're just like, just stay away from it. You'll be fine. Would Creepy Jury and that guy have messed with them? Had they not gone there?
The writing isn't awesome. It's like I couldn't hazard a guess. But so this Clint Howard guy, right? He works for the drug people. Yeah. Right? And he accidentally
he's their Walter White from Breaking Bad.
Right. He's their Walter White, apparently. He's their chemist. But so seems like to be a totally kind of, even though he's dirty and he's in his weird, he's making tea when we first meet him in like the opening scene. And at first I thought it was like, drugs or something. But no, he takes a sip of his tea. He just puts the tea back and says, "That's top notch." And he had a straight face. It may as well have been Earl Grey. Like, he just seemed like a nice dude who just happened to be getting a paycheck, who then got eaten up by ticks.
And he had no health insurance, which he says.
Oh, definitely not. He's listening to like the radio.
I do like that thing though. He did take a nice sip of tea and like almost like a connoisseur. He took it and went, "Ooh, it's nice." Like he got it. He got that tea.
Dude, I felt so badly.
And at the end, he's just saying, "Shoot me." He's not trying to shoot somebody. He's trying to give a girl a gun, Dee Dee, a gun so that she can shoot him.
Boy, and so when he first sees those ticks that build to that, that's when this movie looks like what you expect it to be before you've seen it, where the ticks are like, the legs are probably moving on animatronic, but they're pulling it with a fishing line really fast along the ground. Mm-hmm. Practically, he's walking around, he steps in a little varmint trap. Oh, that sucked.
Yeah, why?
And then
in the Friday the 13th remake, he steps on a varmint trap too. There's a lot of comparisons here.
Dude, Tix has got to sue. Tony Randall has got. But so it's like that happens. Then the cocoon falls on his face.
Squish.
Right. And we learn that it's almost like the egg's an alien. Like they are immediately just ferocious the moment they come out of their little cocoon egg thing, larva state. And so that lands on his face. The next time we see him, they are under his skin. That much. Can you imagine how much that would hurt?
Be horrifying.
Because every time they move and you see the bump moving under your skin, they are separating the epidermis from like the muscle tissue. There's a lot of connective tissue in there. Like they're just like, oh, that would be awful. It ends up eventually in his face, which is like one of the most famous scenes in the movie where Clint Howard, his cheek has this huge softball sized tick under his cheek. And his whole face is messed up. And yeah, he's yelling, "Shoot me," at this poor girl. Like he went full tilt.
Yeah. I mean,
that was lunacy.
Is that full tilt or is that Clint Howard at normal?
Well, that's just it. This movie, I didn't see the weird, zany Clint Howard that I'd see in Leprechaun 2, that I'd see in Ice Cream Man. He wasn't even as zany as he was in Far and Away with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. Like in this, he was very straight. And then when he was in pain, like I believed he was in pain.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah. It wasn't like Roger Rabbit cuckoo infested. He was like total loss of motor function. Like I felt that's the one character I felt badly for in the whole movie when something happens to him.
The makeup must have helped get him into character. I know he's an actor, but that makeup was pretty gnarly. So I imagine to get into character, you just look at yourself in a mirror. You're kind of there, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was that huge, again, just the size of a softball. Under his skin. And it made his eye look weird, too.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
And then he just kind of, you see him later when Dee Dee she thinks her boyfriend is him.
Right.
And also, this is really weird, but like when that guy Charles is talking into his little recorder, there's just that full-on leg shot of Dee Dee.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that? I'm like, wait, how old is this? I thought it was the teacher. And then when they showed her, I'm like, wait a second, what? How old is this kid?
Yep.
That was a weird thing, wasn't it?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
No, I remember feeling the exact same thing. There's some weird stuff in this. So the daughter, Seth Green kind of has a thing for her.
Yeah, they almost smooch.
They almost smooch. He saves her when a larva cocoon thing gets on her back and it like bites the stick and then runs off with the stick. But when they were walking through the woods, we come to see that these gobbledygooky, brainy, organ-like cocoons are all over everything. Fallen tree logs, standing trees, rocks. They are everywhere.
Yep. People
just aren't noticing them because they're not they don't glow or anything, but like, because we hear the pulsating sound effects.
Yeah.
As they're walking along, we see them everywhere now, and we realize, like, these people are screwed.
Done. Now, I have a question, John. A mass outbreak happens. What's going to happen? Now, obviously, these don't follow the rules of any bug in the world. But what happens if 1 million of these get unleashed?
Well, it's interesting because this follows something we brought up a lot of times where I say that a zombie in a zombie movie, a movie zombie, is inversely as dangerous as the number of zombies on the screen.
Yeah, it's true.
Because when there was just one and running around, and Clint Howard, when we first meet him, that thing is terrifying. It's fast as sin. He can't do anything. And then a second one falls on his face and he's done, right? But then at the very end of the movie, they're going to be in a house and they're everywhere. And eventually, even though you see like 50 running towards Seth Green, he's fending them all off with a torch. And we've seen how fast they are. We've seen them jump like face huggers. Like he'd be done.
They were getting swept into the fire.
Right. But he was having no problem with it. It was oddly easy.
He touched one of them with fire, correct? And it exploded.
Yeah, that literally exploded. That happened a bunch. Yeah. And so, it's like, so at the end of the movie, it seems like a very different movie than the beginning of the movie in terms of the menace that these creatures impose. So from the beginning of the movie, I'd say, oh, everyone's dead. You could run the scenario 1,000 times and everyone's dead. At the end of the movie, I guess I buy it. Like
the dead dog scene when when Panic is holding him monologuing. How'd that make you feel?
Oh yeah, I felt
He loved
bad.
that dog.
Yeah, well, that all his hard ass stuff, like he clearly doesn't have friends. He's in this troubled camp. He's talking a lot of nonsense to someone who we really knew in the beginning of the movie was probably just another one of the kids at the camp. And he's like, if you don't make this basket like it's Escape from New York, you don't make this basket, I'm gonna off you.
Yeah, he said stab him in the like you're gonna be limping
or something.
If you brick. I tried to write it down, but I don't even know what he said. I'd have to close caption it.
So that dog's his friend. That dog is the one who doesn't judge him, and he doesn't judge back. And we saw, and also when the dog first gets infected, right?
Yeah.
Like you saw it just like quaking on the ground, like more than a seizure. Like I thought it was going to explode when I first saw it, just with ticks.
Because these things can get in you and lay eggs, right? So then they explode from out of you.
Apparently, like I don't know all their rules, but they reproduce very quickly, clearly.
Oh man.
And so they take the dog to the vet, and this scene is a combination of a very playful riff off of Ripley and Newt when they got locked into that room with the face hugger by the Bad Business Wayland Yutani guy.
Paul Reiser,
right. It's like a riff between that and then just and again Roger Rabbit silliness, because they pull this tick out of that animal. The animatronic starts going off. It's running across the floor with now, for the first time in the movie, awesome animatronics. I mean, awesome. Down to like a facial posturing when it's looking around with the syringe stuck in it. It's
I
jumping.
remember that. Yeah.
It's they're even doing the thing where they're checking the top of a shelf and it's up there and it leaps out. Like this was a really, really fun scene. God.
And when in doubt, squish it.
Which is funny because in the very beginning of the movie, we're introduced to the fact that ticks are so difficult to kill that even an itty bitty one, you can't squish it. You have to burn it. And then later you get a big one and she's just like stomp, done.
Yeah, she was all chill about it too.
I guess it was also all filled with blood.
Oh yeah. I just like the sound effect. Listen, any chance for a squish, I'm all in. Now, I have another question. So, after the dog dies, Panic goes off. He wants to go back to LA, and Seth Green's going to keep his secret. While he's out there, he gets attacked by a bug. This bug attaches to his thigh. Now, he cuts open his pants with a knife, right? And then he doesn't use the knife again, and he's trying to pull the tick from his leg. What do you think about that?
Sounds to me like almost what would happen with a real life tick, just on a bigger scale. It's going to tear out a chunk of you. But
he didn't cut it. So he had a blade that he cut his pants open with, and then he tried to pull the thing.
With that thing's grip, though, like it's just going to tear a chunk out of you if you succeed.
But couldn't you just stab it in the head? And it'd still be stuck in you, but at least he'd be dead. Because then it goes up his leg.
Yeah.
I kept waiting for him to stab it, and he never did. But then he stabbed the guy later in the leg.
Yeah, I guess it facilitates the...
That would have been more money for the budget.
I guess a scene like this is kind of like... And I once asked my actor uncle about this, who was in Lurking Fear and Trancers 2, for all you fans out there. But so I once asked him as an actor, what's the deal with all these like kidnappers just shoving a cloth in someone's mouth and then they're gagged and they can't get it out? That would not happen unless you jammed it so far in that they might literally choke on it. And his answer is, oh yeah, it's because the director thinks that the audience will allow it.
I mean, in that movie, it works.
Right. And so, but I think that like, that's what we're seeing. We're just seeing the thing that facilitates the scene. And because if you were realistic about it, it wouldn't be much of a scene.
Yeah. It's like,
or maybe he's just panicking.
It's like Christopher. Yeah, I guess I've never had a tick inside my leg.
We can't call it. That's why it's not. They don't call him Panic because he never does. They call him Panic because he's going to get it the worst.
Yeah, he does. But you know what though? When he gets attacked by the farmers, he beats the living daylights out of them. He has some good lines.
That was mean.
Yeah, he goes. We're gonna get our PG-13 rating here. He goes, "You fuck, you country fuck." He just starts wailing on the dude. But of course, they have the very 90s lines. You know, they call him a wannabe gangster. Then they start calling each other, like great slurs. But that's just such a... I didn't see that coming. Did you?
No. But also, like, that scene had a lot of weird things about it. Like, that was the only